what better thing to do than to go live on a Friday night? I know, right? Happy Friday. Kids are on Christmas break, and I'm on Christmas break. You're on Christmas break. I wanted to talk about how this is the first Christmas in 13 years that I have not been on call. Like the first. And I was thinking about how freeing that is. First, I will not get called out on a death call, but I'll still be mindful of those who are grieving, because every year I was interrupted with something, whether it was a busted pipe or a death call or 10. So I'm grateful for that, but it also got me thinking about the profession as a whole and what did they do before answering services? Up until 2014, we had an answering service, and it was what we called foreign exchange lines. So AT&T had the phone services, and they would have this service called foreign exchange, where the house phone rang, and the house phone rang because it forwarded from the funeral home to the house phone. So it had to be, once it forwarded, you would say, hey, I'm going home, and the funeral director had to wait until the funeral director got to the house, called them on their cell phone and said, I'm home. Then they could leapfrog and go to their house. 2014, we got an answering service. So when we went to disconnect the foreign exchange lines, AT&T representatives, they had not seen that technology and did not know how to disconnect it. It was like foreign, ironically enough. So I was wondering, like, what did they do? I mean, I remember for a short time, we couldn't go to the grocery. We would have to call the other funeral director and be like, hey, I want to go buy bread and milk. It's so crazy to think about technology, right? And then think about having to go to the houses to embalm the loved ones before you had like the official funeral homes. And then once you got the funeral homes, the loved ones, when they died, you brought them back and you cared for them right then and there. The thought of a refrigeration was pretty far-fetched. Not because people weren't using it, but the funeral homes weren't necessarily embracing it. And God forbid, like the whole idea of a cremation. 25 years ago, my hometown, an hour and a half from Louisville, Kentucky, used to drive the loved ones to Louisville for a cremation. There was no crematories, like they were for forever. So I was just reflecting on not having to go out on death calls, and now started thinking about the profession as a whole and what they used to do. I mean, they used to call, like when it was a letter and then a number, like 4 numbers, M989 something, I think is what the number was. They would call all hours of the night and say, hey, what time is it? Because there was this grandfather clock. I think every funeral home has one, by the way. It's like, I don't think you can be a funeral home if you don't have a grandfather clock. And they would ask what time it was. And it's kind of freeing to be able to know that I can experience Christmas with the kids and not have this black cloud of what's going to happen this Christmas. It's pretty exciting, really. And then it makes you think of like all of the funerals, like the most interesting funerals you've had. There was a priest at a Catholic church. Again, this is all from my hometown, and this family had a death occur on the 22nd. And if it's legal, if it's ethical, the answer should be yes, obviously. And the funeral director thought that they were going to have, like, when they called the priest, that the priest was going to, like, look out for them, like, help the brother out. So called and said, hey, the family are wanting to have the funeral because they got to travel, and, Christmas is a couple of days away. And the priest goes, what better day to celebrate a funeral and a life than on the day we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior. So they had a funeral on Christmas. It was awesome. Luckily, it was the year before I started, and thank God that was not something that I had to deal with. But those are the things to think about. And I'm sure the funeral was lovely. But could you imagine having to like reflect on, oh, this is Christmas. Oh, we had Mom's funeral on this day. That'd be kind of odd. It'd be so weird to think about. My favorite funerals to do are the African American funerals at the churches that are like as small as your family room, and you put 400 people in there, and you have everyone is dressed to the nines in suits and beautiful dresses, and their pocket squares and their shiny shoes, and you have 14 ministers on the altar, and everyone says like incredible things about this loved one. They never try to sanctify them, but they always say great things. And then it's church. And I think the longest one was like 4 hours, and I sat in the back. I enjoyed every second of it. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Something powerful about music and there was a live band, and how they have the keyboardist and then the drums, and you have the vocalist, and there's just constant music going. And that's what I always say. There's a beautiful parallel with music and funerals. Always. You can't have a beautiful celebration without incredible music. You can't have incredible music without experiencing grief and sadness. Like T Swift right here behind me. If she would, wouldn't have dated those however many people that she loved, she wouldn't have all these number ones and be the Spotify artist of, was it the year or was it of life? I don't remember. It's like Taylor Swift wins everything forever. But I'll talk about leaving a mark. Now, obviously, our marks are going to be different and look different than someone like T Swift's, but it's obviously evident that what we do when we show up really impacts people. Her platform is larger, obviously, but she will be the only artist in our lifetime that her talent and career span like multi-generation, right? So you have, when she was growing up, you have the kids that became teens and the teens that became adults, and they still love her, but then you have their kids now. So it's like recycled because she's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it totally coincides with funerals, right? We're talking about Taylor Swift. That's what I'm doing on Friday. See, I wouldn't have this opportunity a few years ago to be able to just sit and watch the TV. Yeah. The best funerals are the ones where you celebrate the mundane. That's the best funeral. It's like I learned, my late grandfather taught me how to tie a tie, a double Windsor. Might sound stupid at 13 years old, and he tied it every day for 42 years. The man used to mow a yard in the tie and dress pants. I'm not kidding. And I think about it every time I tie a tie, I think about him. So he was teaching me something that was this mundane task, and he probably was like, no big deal, but to me that was a great big deal. So I pass it on, and I'm sharing and spreading the love. So yeah, I'm bragging at full circle. I'm bragging that I'm not on call this Christmas, and I hope that this holiday season has been one of hope for you and excitement, because it's not been an easy year, probably the past few years. I was in line today at a local pharmacy, and because everyone's all like wound up tight, it's just different. Everyone is different out there. There's a lot of stress, it feels like, but there's also a lot of spirit in the air too. So I hope that amidst the stress, you feel the joy and the hope for a prosperous opportunity to make anew and start anew. And I hope that you don't have to be on call, but maybe you do. So it's something I just wanted to hop on here and share and say, hey, I'm not on call this Christmas, and brag a little, and maybe you all could be like, So find something that you're excited about and then write it down. Hope you have a good weekend. I wanted to say what's up. I wanted to share that with you, and to all the professionals who have paved the way before us, and then those who are coming in. This profession there's a great opportunity. There's a unique time right now. You have a profession that is largely underpaid, largely confidently overworked, and I don't want to say undervalued, but it's like they're given so much responsibility. And then you have this sense of, oh, I'm off call, but I need to be there, or I'm off, but I need to be there, or I'm out of town, but I need to cancel everything and be there. Or the family's like, oh, but I talked to Nathan, he needs to be there. So there's this constant sense of urgency. But then you have this lack of progression. Then you have this still very seasoned staff of people who are growing old and no one to pass the torch to. And the people who are coming in and wanting to help, God forbid they want to share the good news that is this service with the world. That, hey, look what we do for people that you love more than anything, because we believe that you're worthy to be cared for. This is why we do it. Don't share what you do. Don't share a damn thing. It's okay. This is just a unique opportunity. There's a number of people it's going down, that are going into mortuary school and coming out. And the death rate will continue to go this way. And you don't have enough funeral directors to take care of this. So if you love the idea of essentially like event planning, or if you love organization, or if you love creativity, or if you love storytelling, if you love art, if you enjoy cosmetics, or ministry, or you have attention to detail is just stupendous, then maybe funeral service is something that you should consider, because there's no greater, arguably, service than one that you wake up and die to yourself, because that's what life is about. It's not about me, like speaking to myself. It's about you and you and you, and taking care of those during their most vulnerable time. And it teaches you public speaking, because you get to sit with people of all walks of life, those who have much and those who have little. You're able to sit with them in this moment of grief and sadness, and you don't have to say anything. You don't have to feel uncomfortable, because you just sit in it and you guide them confidently. It's a pretty profound profession. So if that's something that's of interest to you, and the thought of being a funeral professional, funeral director, maybe you don't want to talk to people, like meaning you don't want to be business forward facing, then maybe being in the care center is something that would tickle your fancy. But consider it. You're never too young to go into the funeral profession. And I think it's something that it's a big blessing for those who do choose it. January is going to be a huge month. Well, 2024 is going to be huge. Singles coming out. Got a lot of really cool things happening. I'm really excited about it. I'm grateful for you being a part of it. The podcast, You'll Die Trying, comes out every week. But also we have what's called Bonus Noise. It's kind of like the book. If you followed me for a while, I have this book I write in at day, in the morning, and oftentimes at night. And it's kind of like sharing some, I don't want to say secrets, but yeah, pretty personal stuff I keep close to my chest. And that is available on Spotify right this very moment. And of course, stream the music, share it with a friend, and it's all going to be down here. So hope you have a great weekend. I have put out like 39 pieces of content this week. So I'm going to go and watch Taylor Swift, go through the eras, and I hope you have a great night and weekend, okay?